You have probably the biggest, most insane resume because I don't even know it. I'm like, dude, DJ, lawyer, owns a pizza shop. Does like it just goes on and on. Man.
I appreciate that. I wish that were true, but I'll give you kind of my rundown. I was in music. I started DJing really young, age of 13, if I'm not mistaken, 13. 14-ish. I started doing like college parties. There was a group of us. There was like 4 or 5 of us, my brother's friends actually, that were like, they were older than me by 4 years, and they were really good. And they kind of brought me under their wing, and they're like, we can teach this guy some stuff. So they taught me some stuff. I started on turntables and CDJs and kind of, the old school way of DJing where we had to take CDs with us or take turntables with us. And that's when Serato started coming out. So things started changing. I was doing.
What is Serato?
Serato's like whenever you see a DJ at a club, they're using that program, Serato. Basically, it's their music library that connects to the CDJ so they can play whatever's on their laptop.
Awesome.
Right. So they can pick songs.
Cool.
So I was, playing a bunch of shows, and fast forward, I was just, playing colleges and high schools and wedding. I mean, putting in the work, right? And started playing a couple of clubs. There was a spot in Newport. I don't know if you guys have ever been. It's called Woody's Wharf. Heard of it?
I grew up out there, so it's my stomping grounds, dude.
Yeah, we started Woody's Wharf.
No way.
So you probably went to Woody's when Woody's was packed.
Oh yeah.
I used to DJ Woody's when there were 3 people in there.
No way.
Literally, I would DJ for like Dennis Rodman and his wife and like her
shout out.
I know
chaperone.
I know that family too. They're friends too.
Yeah. So like that's who I would DJ for, and then they would we'd end early and go home. Like there was nobody there.
Crazy. One
July 4th, mind you, I wasn't even 21 at the time. And the owners, I was like, listen, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never done any drugs. I'm like a super ultra square. And so the owner at the time
didn't even let me give you a coffee today.
I try to stay away from coffee. I mean, I'm not gonna say I've never had coffee. I definitely like if I want to, I'm not, but I just try as best not to. So
that's smart.
The owner of Woody's was like, listen, if I catch you with alcohol in your system here, like you're done. I'm never letting you back. And I was like, listen, put X's on my hands. I'm not gonna drink. I'm just here to play music and go home. So he let me DJ. He was like, all right. So he let me DJ, and I started DJing. I was like 15, and I was playing at Woody's Wharf.
Oh, okay.
July 4th. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah. I was like, why would he? What are you talking about?
Yeah, you thought Woody's Wharf back? No, it was 18 years ago, dog.
Damn.
Like long time ago. I'm 34 now. So what is that? 19 years ago?
Yeah.
So
I was probably going when I was like 19. So I don't know. What was that, 12 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. So it was a long time ago.
Wow.
And we were playing one July 4th hit. I don't know what the hell happened. One July 4th hit. And the line was just out the back door. It was just like insane. And it was always 2 of us DJing at the same time in case someone needs to use the restroom. There's another DJ there.
Yeah.
And Woody's was crazy. Like we'd set up on like that little stage that wasn't even really a stage, like a table, like a booth. And that would make that the stage, quote unquote, right? So we DJ 1 July 4th, blows up. And then every Saturday from that point forth was like insane. Then the owners were like, yo, can you guys do Fridays too? And we're like, okay. So we took on Fridays. Fridays blew up. It was like the crowd from Saturdays found out that we were playing on Fridays, and we're like, all right, we're coming on Fridays too. Then they were like, can you guys do Thursdays? And I was like, dude, 3 days in a row? That's a lot. He's like, no, come on, you guys can do it. We're like,
you can do it.
So we took on Thursday. So there was a point where I was DJing Woody's Wharf on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
That's
and then
awesome.
I would drive to Claremont to go to high school. So I would play until like 2 a.m. on Thursday night, 3 a.m, 2 a.m. And then by the time I was done, packed up the van, we were carrying equipment. So it wasn't like I could just pack up my laptop and go home. I was packing up equipment, fill up the van, and then drive my behind back to Claremont, which is like another hour drive, right? So by the time I went to sleep, it was like 4 a.m. And then on senior year, I had zero period at like 6 a.m.
Oh.
So I could get out at 12. So I would go, get home at like 4, pass out from like 4:30 to like 5:30, wake up, shower, get to school at 6, leave at 12, go home and nap. That's what I was doing.
Dude.
So
the grind.
That's impressive.
That was the grind. So I was DJing, and then I ended up coming to UCLA out when I was obviously able to. Came out to UCLA. When I moved to UCLA, me and one of the guys from the group that were DJing, we decided to start playing shows in LA, which we did. And then about a few years in, I started wanting to produce music because it was just like, I felt like I was playing a lot of tracks in the club that like, I was like, these could be better. This is just not, like, I love this track, but let's change a little bit of something. So I started making like remixes and doing the whole, remix game. And then I got kind of, people were like, yo, send me this, send me that. So I started sending remixes to people. And I got kind of known as this guy that was just doing remixes for people. And I didn't even want to give most of them out. Most of them were my own sets. So it wasn't like I was trying to produce. None of the other guys in the group really wanted to produce. There was one of them that was, but he was kind of doing his own thing. So that was it. So one thing led to another. I was playing, I did a track that I was actually telling you about earlier. It got put, I didn't put it out. It was my own track. And it was a remix to 21 Pilots, Stressed Out.
Oh, I like that song.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Super slow though. So the problem was I wanted to make, everybody knew the words. It had like over 1 billion plays on YouTube. So I was like, everybody knows this song. Just, you can't play it in a club because everyone's going to go to sleep. So I made like a festival trap-y version of the song. And then the Chainsmokers DM me. And I was like, the Chainsmokers DMing me. And I didn't know if it was, I was like, yo, is this a real? They're verified. Like, yeah, this is them. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? They're like, yo, can you send us that remix? And I was like, yeah, but time out. Like, I didn't release that. How did you guys even know about it? Like, how did you get it? And I'm like, oh, it was in, David Guetta's podcast. And I'm like, fuck, did David Guetta get it? So I go and obviously these people have people that do their podcast. So I reached out, tried to find out where, went back to like 4 different podcasts. And then it turns out one of my buddies, Mackenzie Mac J, who did, he has produced so many, he's got a ridiculous record. I mean, that guy's resume in music is insane.
Wait, we can get someone to do our podcast for us?
Yeah, like sure. Well, music podcast. But yeah, imagine, I mean, I'm sure you have a twin because the first time I met you, you didn't say but 3 words. And now this guy's like talkative Joe over here. I don't know what's going on.
Cardboard cutouts and it's just you talking to yourself.
I don't know who I met that night. You got a twin? I don't know who I met that night, but that wasn't you, bro. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so
thank you.
So I traced it back and it turns out that it was my buddy had put it in his podcast, got picked up. And then people were like saying the Chainsmokers actually played it a few shows, a couple actually big shows that they played it at. And then my people were like sending me videos in the crowd. So like I got a little bit of hype from it, took it off and then started playing a lot more shows. And at one point I was touring all the time.
Wow.
And I was in law school at the time. So I graduated UCLA. I'm like working out at UCLA with like some of the guys that are playing on the football team and like the rugby team. And they're all good friends of mine, right? One of them, shout out to Ms. Mike Harris, played at UCLA, then played for the Chargers, and then played for like the Vikings. And I think now he's a coach for their like development team, if I'm not mistaken. Super nice dude. I gave him his first shot in a club when he turned 21, by the way. I was DJing that night. DJing that night at, it was an H Wood Group venue. Anyway, so.
Shout out to H Wood Group.
Yeah, right. Shout
Great guys.
Brian Toll and them. Good people. Brian Toll actually used to book me back in the day too. So that's actually how I knew the H Wood Group.
Nice.
So these guys that I'm like working out with, it's kind of like a double story here. So I go to UCLA, then I go to law school. Mind you, I know all these athletes and these athletes are like, oh, you're going to law school. Why don't you be my agent? And I was like, be your agent? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm first year law student. Like, I can't be your agent. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it's going to be really bad for you and even worse for me. Like, this doesn't sound like a good plan. Like if in the history of plans, this is probably one of the worst. So I told him like, listen, just let me figure my life out and then we'll talk. So I'm playing shows. I'm in law school at Pepperdine in Malibu and I'm playing shows. I remember at one point I was in Beirut for like 3 weeks and I was playing at this club called Sky Bar. And Sky Bar was like the #1 club in the world for like 8 years running. So the fact that I got to play there was like a big deal, right? And I played like for 2 weekends. And the dean of Pepperdine like emailed me and was like, hey, where the fuck are you? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm DJing in Beirut. And he was like, what? Like, you're in law school. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, dude, gotta
pay for law
school.
Make
money. Yeah, gotta make money. You know what I mean? And he was just like, no, like you signed a contract that said you're not going to work while you're in law. I was like, listen, if I fail anything, just kick me out. And he was like, it's like that, huh? I was like, all right, no problem. It's like, all right. So I didn't fail anything, thank God. I wasn't at the top of the class, don't get me wrong, but I didn't fail anything.
That's all that matters, not failing.
Yeah, right, not failing. So finished law school. Now, mind you, I'm in law school. I was at the end of UCLA beginning law school and I was playing on a basketball team. I think it was Equinox. And I think I mentioned this to you.
Yeah.
Ron Artest's brother, Daniel Artest, shout out to the Artest family. Those are some of my favorite people. Actually, the reason I'm kind of I got in the athlete game to begin with was because of Ron Artest, Meta World Peace.
Wow.
So Ron Artest, his brother was on my basketball team and I was DJing like all these clubs and his brother was like, he came out with me a few times and he's like, yo, I think you and my brother, you guys can do something. And I was like, what do you mean? Like your brother's Ron Artest. He's like known for beating people up in the stand. Like, what do you mean? Like, how am I supposed to do something? Like, I'm confused. And he's like, no. Let me just introduce you guys. You're in music. Ron loves music. I'm like, all right, I get it. Okay. Yeah, we could do something.
All right.
So I got a call from him. This is back when, I don't remember if it was still Bootsy's at the time, but it was Bootsy Bellows. Was the nightclub. I just don't know if it was Bootsy's at the time.
Yeah.
Got a call.
Used to be the spot. Dude.
It used to be
I lived there.
Yeah. The greatest spot ever, right? So Get a call from them at like 12 in the night. I think it was 12 midnight, 11:30. And Daniel was calling me and he said, hey, can you meet me at Bootsy's? And I was like, bro, it's Wednesday or Tuesday at like 12 o'clock, meet you at Bootsy's. He's like, yeah, don't you want to meet Ron? And I was like,
wasn't it Tuesdays and Thursdays were the days or something like that?
I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but that's
Tuesday,
a random.
maybe?
it's so random. And I was just like,
that's what I remember when I first came to LA, not to sidetrack, but when I first came, my buddy was a promoter and he's like, nobody goes out on the weekends. That's when the tourists come out.
Yeah,
He's like, you go out on the Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But I mean, I was also in school, so I was like, I'm in law school, so like during the day I had to like actually like comprehend life. So like I couldn't really, and I didn't drink, so it was like. And
then so you got invited to go to a club on a Tuesday night, and you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, right? There's no way. I'm like, what? And he's like, do you want to meet Ron? And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, so get my shit together. Head down to Bootsy's and get in, go to the table. And I thought it was going to be, NBA guys, when they come out, they come out. Like they got like, 10, 12. So I showed up and it was just Ron and his brother, Daniel, at the table. Nobody else was there. Wow. And I pulled up and I was like, hey guys. And he's like, hey, what's up? We start talking. He's like, yeah, so, Daniel tells me you're a DJ. And I was like, yo, what? What's going on right now? And he was just like, oh, you don't want to talk? I said, no, let's, sure. So long story short, he ends up, long story long. He ends up kind of getting me in the game. He puts me on some game. He's like, listen, none of our agents, this is back in the day, right? So like back in the day, CAA, Wasserman, all these big agencies, they didn't care about your off-field endorsements. They cared about your player's contract, right? Like if your dude was getting paid $100 million, they wanted that piece of that, right? They didn't care if like, Mom and Pop's Cookies was giving this guy $50,000 to show up and do like an appearance or to, whatever, right? So he straight up told me, he's like, listen, give me appearances. I like going clubbing anyways. I just don't want to spend money on bottles. And whatever you get paid, like we'll split it. Like we'll cut bread together. I was like, wait, really? He's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm telling you, our agents do not care about this. So I started doing that. Started doing off-field endorsements. I was doing them for him, appearances, all kinds of stuff. And he had a manager. Shout out to Heidi. He has a manager. So it wasn't like I was managing him, but I was just doing like appearances and I would shoot him a text and be like, yo, you want to do this? Okay, cool. You don't? Okay, cool. And that's kind of where the athlete side of things kind of got born. So I started doing these off-field endorsements and I met this gentleman, Lawrence Etta. He's like really close with Darren Collison, another UCLA cat. And he did an event at Boa Steakhouse. And at that event was Danny Green. Shout out Danny Green. I actually recently been seeing Danny at our PT spot. We go to the same physical therapy spot. But I met Danny and I met Kenneth Farid. So at that event, me and Kenneth kind of hit it off and became really close. And that sparked another person that's also responsible for me knowing everybody and kind of getting in the game. Kenneth, me and him, our friendship took off. I started managing him and I still to this day manage Kenneth full-time. The only person I will manage full-time for now because I just have too much on my plate. But one of the greatest people in the history of life that I just love that guy. He's amazing.
He's great too. He's a great player.
Great player. Highlight of his career. I met him his first year in the league. So it wasn't like he had got there yet. But over time he becomes this, the manimal.
He's got like Dwight Howard shoulders too.
Yeah. The guy's like a freak athlete, like just insane.
Yeah.
And kind of starts killing the game. Ends up going to Spain for Team USA back in 2013 or 14. Don't quote me on the date. I think it's 13, maybe 14.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls me. He's like, yo, come to Spain. I was like, I can do that? And he was like, yeah. The NBA is like allowing me to bring someone out. You're like, I'll introduce you to everybody. You're doing this like athlete stuff, right? Like, I'll introduce you to people. Like you can, whatever. Pack my shit, went to Spain. I spent like 2 months in Spain and everybody was there except for Kobe and LeBron. And I'm talking about all these dudes that they hadn't yet blown up yet. So Clay and Steph were there. Kyrie was there. Anthony Davis was there. And if I show you these pictures of like us in Spain, we all look like little kids. We all look like just little kids. Like it's insane. And I kind of sparked a lot of relationships that I was, that I ended up doing off-field endorsements for. So I was killing the game, graduate law school, no reason to take the bar because I'm just going nuts. Meanwhile, my family does like commercial development, gas stations, shopping centers. And I'm kind of helping them on the legal side a little bit, but it's our own family. So I don't have to, I can do legal work for ourselves. Like it's not really legal work, right? And then fast forward to 2020, the whole world shuts down. And I told my wife, I was like, yo, I'm going to take the bar. She was like, what? You've been out of school for 8 years. You're going to take the bar? was like, yeah, there's nothing else to do. We're just sitting at home making TikToks. So studied, took the bar, passed, and I converted it now to a law firm. So now I own a law firm and I do in-house counsel work for like high net worth individuals. And that's pretty much my go-to. That's my day-to-day right now. I do in-house counsel for people and I do PI. So like,
oh, that's cool.
Car accidents, slip and falls, stuff like that.
And it's Esquire Law?
Esquire Law with the 5.
With the 5, yeah.
So Esquire magazine.
Instead of the S.
I had to change it to a 5 back in the day because when I was getting verified actually on Instagram, I think it was Instagram or Twitter first. I don't remember which one was first. One of the platforms that was verifying me was like, listen, we can't verify you as Esquire with an S because
trademark.
Because Esquire magazine.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I had DJ in front of it. So it was DJ_Esquire. And then so I changed it to DJ_E5, right? And then lo and behold, down the road, I just took out the DJ because it was just more universal. It's just Esquire.
Yeah.
So now the word is just Esquire. So the law firm is E5 Esquire with Esquire Law with a 5. So yeah. So I wear a lot of different hats. It's kind of weird, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
it's a cool story.
In between all that too, I mean, didn't you have a pizza shop? Did you have was it a flower shop?
We opened we purchased a pizza shop that just, it was we didn't know. Hindsight's always 20/20, right? So we purchased on Sunset, we purchased a pizza shop and COVID hit. We purchased, I think 3 months before COVID. And we just got we were already trying to turn this business around. Like it already wasn't like the spot yet. We were trying to make it the spot.
Yeah. But
then once they shut everything down, it was like,
yeah,
what are you going to do?
Can't win on that one.
Yeah. So that one, we ended up closing. We have a few, my family, we have a few restaurants, but they're all inside like gas stations. So like we have like I think it's like a Fat Burger, a Chronic Tacos, or like Jack in the Box, like just a bunch of random ones, but they're all inside there's a gas station shopping center and it's like inside there.
Yeah.
Man, what I love about this story is just how hard you worked and how determined you are, right? And like literally making connections through how hard you worked, basically, right? And it's like,
I appreciate that.
When you were 15 years old, waking up at 6 a.m., are you kidding me? I couldn't get up before 9 when I was
going to bed at 4
that young. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video.
And subscribe and hit the bell for a whole lot more to come.
Thanks for tuning in to Studio 22.